Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a beautiful brand new day. It is a gorgeous day here in the Enchanted Forest. Frost is on the pumpkins, as they say, and the sunshine is out and bouncing off the beautiful autumn colors in the forest and off of the frost, and it's beautiful here. And I'm happy to be sharing it with all of you. Good morning, Carla Jo Worth. Good morning, Del Marie. Good to see you ladies both in the chat room this morning. So today, you know what? The fact is we're getting closer and closer to a pretty amazing weekend, and it's a very sacred time of the year. I call it the All Hallows weekend. Some people call it Samhain. Some people call it All Saints, All Souls, Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. Lots and lots of names for the very sacred time that we're coming into this weekend. And as most of you, good morning, Lori, have probably felt the thinning of the veil. Hey, Holly. I know here in our household, dreams are always a big thing here because I'm a very vivid dreamer. And every once in a while, Todd has a dream that's pretty potent himself. But boy, this past week, with all of the retrograde energy going on and coming into a Taurus full blue moon on Halloween, Dreamtime has been really, really active. And the ancestors draw closer. They draw near at this time of the year. Whether we believe it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not, the ancestors draw near to us. And I believe anyway in this idea that the more we honor our ancestors, it kind of creates a weave around Grandmother Earth, where honoring the ancestors is something that happens. And I've been trying to share, at least on my Facebook group page, the School of Sacred Studies, various ways in which people celebrate this coming weekend. And yesterday I added a piece about how our friends and relatives in Poland celebrate the coming weekend and spending time honoring their ancestors. I think that here on Grandmother Earth, at times we forget our ancestral connection to Grandmother Earth and to Spirit, Earth and Sky, no matter where we come from. And this is one of those weekends where our ancestors have forever and always been honoring those that have gone before us. And I do believe that more and more of us are finally catching on and reviving some of those wonderful practices and ways and traditions. And as we know, angels always draw near. They are near us, whether we believe it or not. And this morning is dedicated to the angelics that are near to us at this time of the year, along with our ancestors, those beings of light, light beings, light bringers, message bearers. Some people refer to angels as messengers of Creator. I believe they are that, and I believe that it's a whole lot more than that. So this morning here in the studio, I'm burning a really beautiful incense called Protection of the Theotokos. Protection of the Theotokos. It's got a gorgeous smell. It's Greek incense. Actually from a company right out of Zeeland, Michigan. I kind of like them. They're pretty good at what they do. LegacyIcons.com. All right, so this morning, hey, Maggie. It's all about angels, everybody. And I'm so excited. Oh, if those of you that are in the chat and you can see the like button, the yellow like button, if you could click the like button, I would be really happy for that. It helps with the distribution of all of the shows. And thank you to everybody who follows the Temple Within Radio and Media. Again, it helps with the distribution of the shows. Today's about angels, but back to what I was going to say. The hardcover edition of A Book of Enchantments is now complete. And so this weekend it will go live where you can purchase a hardcover, full color, 6x9, same size as the spiral bound edition of Angels and Enchantments. I'm really excited about that. Really excited. So this morning, with all of us here, I'm going to utilize the 13 angelic pillars, as I call them. Hey, Lady Hawk. And those cards are also back in stock. If you go to the School of Sacred Studies books page, you can see that they are back in stock and they're very limited. And I'm shuffling them as I speak. I will post that link for everybody. All right, let's do a group angelic draw. And the one that came right to the top is the Archangel Raguel, the angel of the earth, the guardian of the second heaven. Some people compare that to the second chakra, right? Part of that grounding energy and creative energy connected to Grandmother Earth, co-creating with Grandmother. And so there are many ways of looking at what does it mean, a second heaven, a fourth heaven, a fifth heaven, all of that good kind of a thing. Well, many believe, and I kind of subscribe to this thought as I continue to learn myself, that those heavens, of course, are within us, and that they align to specific origins or places, octaves, as Sandy would say, within us. Archangel Raguel is the guardian of the second heaven. So for me, that means there's an angelic correspondence to my second chakra, which is very close to the first chakra. And of course the third chakra, so it's about creativity, connectivity. Right relationship is called for. I like that. Relationship with self and with others is a great gift of the human experience. Maintaining healthy relationships and restoring harmony to personal connections gone awry is one of the virtues of this brilliant angel of light. If your relationship with yourself, friend, lover, family member, co-worker, neighbor, or spiritual community member is in need of a tune-up or gentle rebalancing, call upon the loving assistance of the Archangel Raguel each morning to help you restore balance, abundance, wellness, and joy in your relationships. And while you're at it, says Raguel, you may wish to give gratitude each morning for the nourishing relationships that you are currently blessed with in your life and for those yet to come. I believe that Raguel, in talking about right relationship is called for, also teaches us about boundary setting. Because sometimes right relationship means that we need to recognize that some relationships are so far out of balance that maybe it's like a wobbly wheel on the cart, right? It just needs to be replaced, needs to be let go of, sent to the wagon wheel graveyard, call it what you will. But Raguel is the angel of relationship, one of them. So, when we are working with this beautiful angel of light, some of the earthly correspondences, if we're going to create an altar, let's say, sandalwood, rose, angel light, turquoise, the color blue, aquamarine, those are some of the earthly correspondences of Raguel. So there we have it. There is a nice, good morning, Sonia. Way to begin our day. All right, Carla Jo. Carla Jo's got some really cool classes coming up next year at the School of Sacred Studies. School of Sacred Studies has a couple more gatherings in the autumn. And as everybody knows, social distancing is required and all of that good kind of a thing. So the classes are very, very limited. The class space is very limited. I should say, here at the School of Sacred Studies until the spirit of the pandemic, and it does have a spirit, the spirit of the pandemic quiets itself. We have to be, responsible for the way that we are doing things, of course, at the school. I'm going to go ahead and paste that link there in our chat room feed. That's where you can purchase the Deck of 13. And also, this coming weekend, a copy of the hardcover Book of Enchantments. It's beautiful. So, it's about being responsible. And I'm getting quite a collection of really wonderful masks. Some pretty fun ones, actually. Okay, it's really easy to be good to one another, whether we believe it or not, right? Just to be good to one another. All right. Carla Jo. The Archangel Asariel, the ruler of the waves. What are those waves? Those are the waves, the octaves, the vibrations, the celestial cosmic vibrations, the angel of discernment. So, Asariel helps us tune in to discern. Search for the truth. Let it be revealed. This coming weekend is a very potent weekend. We talked about that at the top of the hour. Day of the Dead, All Souls, All Saints, you name it. It's about honoring the ancestors. It's about the thinning of the veils. And in the thinning, and let me just add, whatever sacred season it happens to be, for me, this coming weekend is a sacred season. I was taught that as a child, going to Catholic catechism. All Saints and All Souls Day was a big day. So was All Hallows. And I've learned to, of course, look beyond what I was taught as a child and to look out to see the ways that other people embrace any sacred or holy season of the year. And we notice that for most of the holy and sacred seasons, there is a thinning of the veil. And why is that? I believe it's because humanity recognizes certain times of the year as sacred and holy. And so we become, great numbers of us become cognizant of sacred and holy. And we have ceremony. We have quiet time, contemplative time. And if enough people around grandmother do that, we create a weave or a tapestry of sacred. Portal energy, a thinning of the veil, because so many are calling upon spirit, calling upon the ancestors. And I believe that this is one of those times. And whenever we acknowledge sacred time, holy time, and we create sacred space or sacred ceremony, no matter how simple it is or how ornate it is, spirit comes. The ancestors visit. And we have an opportunity to work with, to collaborate with. Ceremony is a wonderful time for discernment, to see clearly, to get hints and insights into what's going on in our lives and where our lives may be headed based on what it is that we are pursuing. A lot of people think that you can just sit in sacred ceremony and everything that you're praying for is going to just fall out of the sky or come up from Grandmother Earth. I'm, I guess, one of those people that believes you have to apply a little elbow grease along with the prayers and the petitions and the workings of spirit. You got to help the rubber meet the road. You have to put a little skin in the game. This weekend's a great opportunity for discernment. The Archangel Asariel helps us to gain clarity by dissolving the specters of illusion, rumor, chaos, clouded emotions, and the bonds of ignorance and negativity. Asariel helps to uncover the truth of the matter for those who are seeking it. When the veil is thin, and we sit in quiet contemplation, whether we're in a church, synagogue, temple, in EP, outdoors, in our meditation room, in our bathtub, to get quiet, to acknowledge the sacred within, the sacred without, to ask for assistance in discerning, seeing the truth, and to be ready for the truth, to see into a situation, to be given clarity. Not everybody is ready for the clarity. Carla Jo, I know that you are. Of course you are. Move forward in the light of understanding that once you may have been blind, but with healing and awareness of self, now you clearly see. And that is definitely applicable to you, Carla Jo. We have to be ready when we say we want to see into a situation. Asariel helps us to see with clarity. Right? Sometimes we need to maybe call upon Raphael then, depending on what it is that we've been shown. All right. Hey, Janet Smith, my good friend from across the pond. Good to have you here in the chat room. So that's enough about that, isn't it? All right, Del Marie. The Gligli Wakam for you today, Chue, is the Archangel Metatron, the ruler of the celestial spheres, the chancellor of heaven. I love that word, chancellor. I just think it's a cool word. I'm one of those people that I love words. Last week I had the word palimpsest stuck in my mind. And I don't know why I had palimpsest stuck in my mind, but I did. And then later this week I was watching a show and it involved a palimpsest. Oh my goodness. And it's one of those words that I find fascinating, kind of like chancellor. Words are really potent. Back to Raguel's point of being good to one another. Words are really important because every word that we give birth to is angelic in nature. In other words, every word we give birth to is a messenger. What is your message? To yourself, to another person, to a situation. Just a thought. Anyway, Chancellor of Heaven, Chue. The ancient and sacred wisdom teachings of all time do not change. It is our capacity to understand them that does. For you, dear mystic, a time of exquisite transformation is at hand. New teachers and ancient teachings are being placed upon your path, Chue. It is essential for you to be mindfully awake and consciously aware during this period of advancement. Remember to set aside a time of sacred space, conscious breathing, and meditation with Metatron, and a time of esoteric study each day. Metatron, often associated with Enoch, the prophet Enoch. And Enoch is not a name, and Enoch is a title. It's like Mary Magdalene. Magdalene isn't her name. She was a Magdalene. And looking at words, and I love words, you know how in high school you have in the yearbook, voted most likely to succeed, voted this, voted that. I think I was voted, the walking encyclopedia. How glamorous is that? The walking encyclopedia. That's okay, though. I'm all right with that. I love words because they're potent. So the word Enoch associated with Metatron, the word Enoch means seer. It's another word for a seer. Magdalene is another variation of Magdalene, which means watchtower of the flock. Metatron is associated with the prophet Enoch and ascension, because when we ascend into our higher angelic self, or into our higher self, is when we can really see. And the more that we spend time in that ascended part of ourself, and we didn't come here to do that all the time, by the way. We did come here to have a human experience. But when we learn to balance our humanity with our spirit, we become more attuned to the higher frequencies and the higher teachings, and we ascend more easily into those. And as we do that, the higher teachings come to us with the same, the teachers that correspond to the teachings that we're here to learn. So, Metatron is also associated with Thoth Hermes, of course, Metatron's cube, meteorites, Isis, Demeter, mistletoe, the solar self, the process of initiation, ascension. Metatron is a messenger. Hey, Danielle, good to have you in the chat room this morning. Lori. The Archangel Cassiel, the father of time, representing the hermit and the hermitess. Lori is here for you. Cassiel reminds us that divine timing is at play. And this is a quote that I heard from Chief Philip Whiteman a few years back at the Fort Robinson Run, as we're getting ready for the breakout there at Fort Robinson in Nebraska. He said this: being in time rather than rushing to be on time is more important. I rephrased that to say, being in time rather than rushing to be on time or scurrying to make time is the key here. Divine timing. So Lori, that is the message for you. The ancients and your ancient self, Lori, is calling you to pause, to consciously breathe, observe, assess, contemplate, appreciate, and come into the flow of time and the divine timing of your soul's earthly journey. It is time to see your life and the happenings in and around your life with the eyes of a wise elder soul. I love the key words of Cassiel. Pause, rest, so rest in the pause, examine, and elder. Pause, rest, examine. I believe that really good elders do that. Not every elder is a wise elder. For me, the wise elders are those that can pause and rest in that pause and chew on their words before they spew them out. Contemplate what it is that they're going to say, how they're going to say it, and then deliver. So it's about eldership as well. Divine timing is at play. Love that. Okay, Holly Hagen. The Archangel Gabriel, the divine messenger and angel of annunciation, the ruler of the first heaven. That is chakra number 1, our root chakra, the Kundalini, the birth giver. Create is the keynote of the Archangel Saint Gabriel, assisting us in bringing our earthly thoughts and divine musings to life through paper and pen, musical composition, songs, artistry, and movement, is a gift that the Archangel Saint Gabriel brings to us when kindly called upon. I love this. Invite this holy being to lovingly participate the launch of a business, the start of a new project, your personal transformation, or the birth of an infant child. This angel of inspiration will help you to fertilize, gently nurture, and joyfully bring to fruition all that is divinely inspired and uniquely you. This is a time of creativity and birthing for you, Holly. The Archangel Saint Gabriel is the patron saint of communication. The key words for Gabriel are inspire, transform, create, bring to life. I like that it was the Archangel Gabriel, it is said, after all, that appeared to Mary and Martha to announce the coming birth of Yeshua and John the Baptist, the baptizer. I love that. All right, Maggie. This one is for you. It's the Archangel Anael. Celestial king and queen. Lots of balance there. Ruler of the third heaven, the solar disk, the third chakra, the breadbasket, the gateway of spiritual communication. Communicate with the starry beings of light, says the Archangel Anael. Star being communications, astrology, astronomy, and ancient galactic wisdom teachings are the halls of education overseen by the Archangel Anael. Right now we are in the middle of Scorpio season. That's my season as a quadruple Scorpio. I think I'm about as Scorpio as you can get, with a little bit of Leo, apparently. Scorpio season. And this coming Saturday, Halloween, we have a full Taurus blue moon. Talk about a day for ceremony, sacred space, sitting under the stars, communicating with the starry beings, the ancestors. Holy smokes. Our relatives from the starry realms are always communicating with us through visions, sacred geometry, mathematics, celestial light, color, and sound. With the gentle assistance of Anael, we can learn to work more closely with them and understand their unique and primordial systems of communication. They have much to teach, and we have much to learn. I think of all of the Stonehenges, the stone formations, not only here in the Americas, but in Europe, in the United Kingdom, all over the world, and how they are so beautifully aligned with the stars. Even the ancestral circle that Todd and I created last year. Amantha was here from Ireland just after the circle was created. But originally, when the stones were placed in the ancestral circle, Todd and I waited for the perfect alignment of the swan, the Northern Cross, to be exactly underneath Grandmother Earth, in a position going west to east. So east to west, west to east was the swan. Some call it the Northern Cross. And we waited for that before we began placing the stones in that circle. And as the circle progressed and it became the ancestral circle, there are 22 magnificent stumps placed around that stone formation. It's pretty spectacular. And everything aligned with the stars, and particularly the swan, which is also associated with the white buffalo calf woman. It's associated with the Holy Mother, the swan, and it is, FYI, Maggie, associated with the celestial king and the queen, the high priest and the high priestess. All of that, just knowing the constellations, utilizing them to create sacred space, paying attention to that when we're creating grids. On Monday evening at 8 o'clock, I'm teaching a class about creating angelic grids. If you go to schoolofsacredstudies.com and go to the webinars, you'll see I'm teaching this class about this very subject. How do you do that? And how do you align not only sacred spaces outside? You know, my NEP is aligned east to west. My door faces the west for a reason, the direction of the ancestors. We can also do that very same thing in our home. Some people refer to it as proper feng shui. Some people refer to it as aligning with the stars. For me, it's aligning with the stars. Everything in my home, the way it's decorated, is done purposefully. And then, as Lily and Kelly call that flat spot there at the top of the table where Del Marie teaches her weekend retreats, they refer to that as the stargazing table right there. That's where they stargaze and moonbathe. Both of them do that. So that was kind of a the long of it. The Archangel Anael, Maggie. Lady Hawk. The Archangel Saint Uriel, the regent of the sun. Uriel represents immortal light. Also represents Hermes, Thoth Hermes, the first priest king of Atlantis. And in legend, in Coptic Egyptian legend, we hear that the first priestess, king, queen of Atlantis, every morning would greet the people with these words, "Let there be light. Let your light shine." And if you do any study of the Emerald Tablets, and I've done a great deal of study with the Emerald Tablets, it's fascinating. And a couple of years ago, I took a group with Minnie to Greece and Italy, and we were in Akrotiri, which many believe is the remnants of Atlantis. And pretty astonishing energy in that place. But let there be light. Shine your light. Let your light shine. That's kind of my moniker, let your light shine. And it doesn't come from a kitschy New Age sort of thing. I acquired that from an old Coptic teaching about Hermes, about Atlantis. Let your light shine. Some situations require the presence of celestial luminous light. High ceremony, healing, banishment, boundary setting, truth-seeking, and discernment require the integrity of Archangel Saint Uriel's radiant light. Remember to invite this magnificent angel to be present with you each day, Lady Hawk. In this way, at each moment, you are cloaked in the divine presence of the light of love. Uriel is also known as the patron saint of arts and sciences, and also an angel of discernment. Sometimes we're the only light present in a situation. Have you ever found yourself in that situation where you seem to be the only light in a given situation? You find yourself in a dark place, or in a dark place, and it's the teaching that the brightest lights are often called to shine in the darkest places. That inner part of us that connects with Uriel and calling upon Uriel helps to spread the light, to diminish the darkness. Uriel stands before us in the tradition of the ancient Hebrews. Michael at our right, Uriel before us, Gabriel at our left-hand side, and Raphael behind us. Metatron, the ascended angel above us, and Raziel, also known as Grandmother Earth, beneath us. So there you go. You are a bright light out there, Catherine. Let your light shine. And it's okay. Sometimes we have to be the voice of the light. And it's not always easy to do that. And as the saying goes, sometimes we have to do it even when we're shaking on the inside. We've all been there. We have all been there. Sonia. The Archangel Sandalphon, the weaver of prayers, the ruler of the fifth heaven, the ruler of the heart chakra. the brother of Metatron. So a reflection of Metatron. I would say the brother and the sister of Metatron. Brother of Metatron, he is known. Sandalphon, for those of you that study the Old Testament, is also associated with the prophet Elijah and John the Baptizer, John the Baptist. And peace descended like a dove. All right. Bring your dreams to life, says Sandalphon. Weaving our dreams into reality, our prayers into existence, and our thoughts into the tangible realm is the dominion of the archangel, known as Sandalphon. What is it that you wish to bring to fruition at this time? What would you like to weave or unweave from the tapestry of your human experience? An angelic giant. Sometimes we read about giant angels. Giant angels. Sandalphon is one of those giant angels. Some people report having encounters of Sandalphon, and Sandalphon is so large that to our human perception, we cannot see the entirety of Sandalphon. Kind of like that, a giant. Sandalphon is a mediator between the seen and the unseen realms. For those who walk with and work with an honest heart and mind, this awe-inspiring angel assists in helping us to create beautiful transformation in our personal life. Call upon the Archangel Sandalphon when you are ready to unweave that which is no longer nourishing to you, and when you are ready to weave something new into the tapestry of your life. This formidable being will help you to gather to you all of the teachers, allies, experiences, knowledge, and the daring to do so. I like that. Sometimes we think about weaving as just creating, and sometimes we need to consider that possibly in order to continue to weave, first we need to unweave. Sometimes that just happens. All right, Janet. The Archangel Saint Michael is present with you, Janet. Beautiful. The Prince of Light, the ruler of the fourth heaven. Oh, and I have to correct myself. The fifth heaven is actually the throat chakra. It is the throat chakra, Sandalphon. So it's about speaking. It's about emoting. It's about, clearing the space for the throat chakra to work. And also the throat chakra represents clear audience, so clear hearing. So, Saint Michael, the Archangel, is right there in the middle. Chakra number 4. Chakra number 4. The heart. The depths to which we are able to descend correspond to the heights that we are able to ascend. Walking the path of the mystic requires balance and integrity. That is so true, isn't it? In the physical and non-physical worlds around and within us, banishing negativity in order to expose and expand the brilliance of light often takes great courage and discipline. So too, setting healthy boundaries and stable boundaries is rarely easy, and maintaining those borders can be harder still. Janet. Saint Michael, the beloved archangel of the celestial spheres, lovingly invites you to contemplate that which may be out of balance in your life, in your spiritual practice, and in your work. It is time to restore equilibrium. Asking Michael to assist you in this endeavor will bring positive changes in gentle, measured ways. Sometimes we're just a little out of balance. Michael represents the ascending and descending pyramid and the balance of that space in between. Some refer to it as the halls of Amenti. It's that space of the flower of life. Michael, also associated with the sun, gold, the golden butterfly, the wolf, sparrowhawk. Michael is also the angel of Scorpio, one of them, as is Azrael. So if you are a Scorpio, Michael is one of those energies that overrules your chart. He is the patron saint of teachers, law enforcement, and the military. The key words, some of the key words for Michael are descend, descend, ascend, Merkaba, light body, and Christ Michael. For those of you that read and enjoy the Urantia book, also known as the Christ Michael. All right, Mary Ellen, the Archangel Raphael, the divine healer, also a ruler of the second heaven, which is our creativity center, one of them. Healing is at hand. I like that. The Archangel Saint Raphael is softly inviting you, Mary Ellen, to create a sacred space of healing for yourself, or perhaps another who is in need of restoration and peace. This space might be prepared for prayer, meditation, shamanic journey, energy medicine, counseling, art therapy, music therapy, quiet contemplation. You can create your own sacred space, whatever that looks like for you, to feel as though you are in a healing space. And then invite the Archangel Saint Raphael to be present. I love that. Raphael corresponds to Wednesday. And Wednesday, we know, is also associated with Odin, or as they say in the Germanic communities, Woden, Lily of the Valley, Mercury, the angel Polaris, Aldebaran, silver birch, ibis, ash, lemon. So many wonderful correspondences, lavender, agate, opal. Lots of star correspondences, Spica, S-P-I-C-A, Aldebaran, Polaris. Love that. He's the patron angel of healers and travelers. Some of the key words to Raphael are this: healer, know thyself. Once I was blind, and now I see. So the keynote for you today on this Wednesday, which is perfectly aligned with Raphael, is healing. Sometimes healing means just sitting for 5 minutes, inviting the Archangel Saint Raphael to be present, and whatever other deity or ascended master you wish to invite, and to deeply breathe, like right down to the tips of your toes and beyond, and fully exhale. That can be a healing ceremony. To do that 3 times in a row, or 6 times in a row, or 9 times in a row, if you can do it without becoming lightheaded. It can be just that easy and simple. Sometimes really simple is the best, I believe. Yeah. Danielle, the Archangel Azrael, the Magus. I love that word. The hereditary high priest and priestess is overlighted by Azrael. Your soul is in need of loving nourishment, quiet conversation, and reflection. is the message from Azrael. Azrael, one of the greatest light emissaries in all of angelic realms, in all of the angelic realms, the divine being who lovingly separates the soul from the physical body at the time of our earthly passing, reminds you of the importance of taking the time to listen, to feel, to see, to smell, to taste what is not physically present, but what is wholly alive within you and in the unseen worlds all around you. So this is about acknowledging your own high priestess, your own mystical self, your soul. To the one who sees, feels, and listens, much wisdom is revealed in the sacred space and time that is spent with our angelic guides and our spiritual allies each day. Create a sacred space for conscious breathing and conversation with spirit and soul. What needs to be released in order for what is new to be born? What do your guides, angels, allies, and totems in spirit wish to share with you at this time? Take time to listen, to feel, to know, and to see. So this is calling upon your inner mystic. Your inner mystic is saying, what about me? Pay attention to me during this time of All Hallows, this time of honoring the ancestors. What are some of the correspondences of Azrael? Right, if we're going to create a sacred space and invite Azrael, we can place some topaz, maybe the color dark red, a chrysanthemum, maybe some geranium oil or some peppermint or some ginger incense. We can burn some of that. Of course, Azrael is associated with Anubis, the Egyptian wolf, the god of the underworld, that deity that assists us from the physical to the non-physical world. In other words, from this star, this planet that we're living on, to the stars of our ancestors. Also associated with the scorpion, Pluto, Acacia, the angel of death and rebirth is the Archangel Azrael, and the reason it is associated with Scorpio is that the key words or the keynotes of Azrael are death, rebirth, and ascension. Good stuff. All that good, juicy stuff that us Scorpios like to dive into. If I've forgotten anybody, please let me know there in the chat room if I have forgotten you or did not see you in the scrolling at all. I get so busy having fun sharing the messages that sometimes I completely forget to look, to see. In wrapping up, we've got an amazing weekend ahead of us, and whatever angel made itself known to you, I would encourage you to include something to do with that angel on your ancestral altar or in your meditation altar during this time, beginning Friday evening at sunset and going through the 2nd of November at sunset. It's a very auspicious time, as they say, to connect with not only our ancestors of the human sort, but also our ancestors that come from the stars, that reside in the stars, our starry ancestors, our angelic ancestors that emanate from those starry regions, the cosmic seas and oceans. To learn more about ourselves, to help us unweave what the ancestors are asking us to let go of on their behalf. Some of us do come here, I believe, in any given lifetime to break ancestral patterns that are traumatic, that are harsh, that are unloving. Sometimes we come here to be the one to break a pattern. Sometimes we're the ones that come here to break a pattern and to embrace perhaps a new pattern. Or to be the one who breaks a pattern in order for ancestral gifts and talents to be shared in good, kind, and loving ways. This weekend for myself, I will be doing some honoring of my great-grandmother, who was persecuted for being what was known as a witch. You know, she gave her life. She was murdered in the 1600s in Connecticut for being a witch. And I believe, you know, looking back now on all things, that perhaps I came here to break that energy of fear, or whatever she experienced in those last moments, and maybe has been perpetuated in my bloodline, to break that bond, the bondage too. Although she seems to me she was quite a force to be reckoned with. And maybe I came here to make it okay again, to make it acceptable to be a modern day mystic, to be able to share those gifts in a good way once again. Maybe. Just a thought. But it's a good time to ponder those things and to ask for the assistance of our ancestors in breaking, leaving behind what it is that needs to be left behind to help heal, to be a vehicle of healing in our present body. We don't have to heal our ancestors. That's not up to us. It's just up to us to do our own work, I believe. And our most illuminated ancestors will do their part in the realm of the ancestors. And everyone in between gets the benefit of all of the work that we do. I love that. Janet is saying, we are privileged to live at a time where it is more accepted. You are so right about that, Janet. You are so right about that. You know, for myself, I look at all of my ancestors that came from Scotland. And I think about all of those ancestors from Clan MacDonald, particularly the women, who I'm certain eventually, you know, suffered at the hand. And recently, Scotland released the names of those that were killed, that were murdered, that were declared to be witches. And, you know, I give Scotland great credit for that. And the reason being is that those of us that are the descendants of those can then begin to understand maybe some patterns within our own lives. The pattern of melancholy, the pattern of wanting to hide our gifts in a closet, the pattern that may say that when we display our spiritual gifts, it's the work of Beelzebub. It helps to reveal for me generational patterns. Where does that come from? Well, for me, anybody who knows me knows that I'm not really concerned about what people think about the fact that I refer to myself as a modern day mystic. What people think about me is their business. For me, carrying those gifts and talents forward is not something that I can avoid. It's who I am. And I know that many of you listening to me feel the same way about who you are. It's who you are. But at the same time, rather than to just be simply cavalier about, well, it's who I am, I've also educated myself so that when somebody makes an ignorant statement or a statement out of ignorance, I can help them learn the true nature of a teaching or of a way. And, so Janet, you're so right about that. And I think to myself, yesterday I got one of those notes from Ancestry.com and 23andMe. And they're always updating, the quantums and all of that sort of a thing. And it really maintains itself that in this incarnation, 1/3 of me is Scottish. And that's a lot. And so I think to myself, 1/3 of my consciousness remembers. 1/3 of my consciousness remembers. Those times, the burning times. And 1/3 of my consciousness remembers the time before that time. And that part of me that 10% of me from the Congo of Africa, the Zulu people that live within my blood and my bones, those ancestors and what they've endured. But more than that, the gifts and the talents that they brought here from the stars. That's my focus this coming weekend. And, let alone all of, the other part of me that's Norse and Seminole and Cherokee, Irish. All of those ancestors will gather in my home this weekend, and all of Todd's Norse ancestors. He's about as Viking as a Viking can get. And we create sacred space here in our own home, and we'll be out having sacred space out in the enchanted forest. Inviting those heavenly ancestors known as angels and our allies and the ancestors to be present, to become conscious of what it is that he and I came here, right, to rebalance on behalf of the bloodlines. What did we come here to rebalance? To learn from, but not perpetuate, in order that we can bring more of the gifts. I've been having a great good time on Etsy. I love Etsy. Artisans from around the world. And this morning I purchased a little something from Northern Ireland, and I've purchased a few things from the Highlands of Scotland and some beautiful pieces from the Congo, some Zulu pieces from artisans that are continuing with the gifts, the artistry. To have those pieces on my body, in the home. But more than that, it brings a connection across the pond, as we call it. It brings a connection that says, I honor the ancestors within me, and I honor that you're carrying on an ancestral tradition in Wales, Ireland, Scotland, Nigeria, Madagascar. It keeps the gifts flowing. It's an astonishing time to be alive. It's an astonishing time to be alive with our ancestors. Hello, Delgadia. Okay, so, boy, I kind of got on a little bit of a bender about that, didn't I? The ancestors. All right, so, last card of the day will be for Delgadillo. It is the Archangel Chamuel. This is the perfect card to wrap up our day with at the 11 o'clock hour here, Eastern Standard Time. The Archangel Chamuel is representative of the sons and daughters of light, our celestial lifeblood. Step out of the darkness and into your light. Oh, thank you for that, Maggie. She says some benders are good. Thank you for that. Delgadillo. Our darkest hour often reveals the greatest light. Isn't that the truth? The moment of our greatest weakness often reveals our capacity for enormous strength. The Archangel Chamuel gently assists us in regaining our self-confidence, inner strength, and courage, even in the harshest of times. Through the process of grief or the dark night of the soul, the divine love of Chamuel is steadfast. I love that. Is steadfast. Create a sacred space for yourself for conscious breathing and quiet contemplation, and invite the Archangel Chamuel to be present. In the silence of your heart and mind, share your burdens with this angel of divine love and light, and thank Chamuel for gently assisting you through the process of regaining your sense of strength and inner peace. Chamuel is the patron angel of peace and calmness. I guess I will invite him to go with Todd and I to the voting polls on Tuesday so that peacefulness and calmness prevail no matter who anybody is voting for. Let there be peace, let there be calm, let there be love. The key words of Chamuel are strength, peacefulness, and light. Yeah. It was good to have you here too, Lady Hawk, and Holly, and Maggie, and Delgadillo, Janet. Oh, goodness. Mary Ellen, Dell, Lori, Carla Jo, Sonia. Good to have everybody here this morning. Get out there, everybody, and shine your light. And for those of you that are in other countries, if you could send some love and peacefulness to this country for our Tuesday, we would be forever grateful. Send the angels of peacefulness and love to be present here. Blessings be, everybody. Get out there and shine your light as only you can shine it.